everyone, this is Jaclyn from Usborne Books and More, and I wanted to show you some of my favorites and some of my family's favorites. So I'm going to start with this one. This is called The Clockwork Sparrow. This is a chapter book, and this is one that I'm excited to read for myself. My kids are just 2 and 4 right now, so they're a little bit small for this, but it's a historical fiction about a mystery that happens in Sinclair's department store. So I'm excited about reading that one. This is the Usborne Illustrated Adventure Stories. It's part of a collection that has a whole bunch of them. The illustrated collection is really great because every story is illustrated to some degree. Some have illustrations on every page and some have it on every few pages, so it just depends on the one you choose. But my son is actually really enjoying listening to this at night. We're reading this as a bedtime story and kind of introducing him to the classics. They're all the illustrated collection books are padded. They're hardcover, but they're padded, so they're just really comfortable to hold, and they all have ribbon markers, just beautifully done. This one is The Look Inside Food. This is great for kids who are interested maybe in where food is coming from. There's a whole bunch of flaps, so it's really engaging for the little ones, and it's just really cool. Cool book. This is part of the Usborne Beginners collection. There are a whole bunch of different ones you can choose from. They're very simple books. There's not a lot to them. They're hardcover, so they'll last good and long for you. And they are nonfiction, just a whole bunch of different facts and photographs and illustrations. My kids love these books. They're each $4.99, so they're not a huge investment, but you get a lot of bang for your buck with these. The pop-up books. This is Pop-Up Garden, and I just love this book. This is my favorite page I want to show you. Look at this. Koi pond. As you open it, the koi swim. It's just really, really beautifully done. Busy Trucks on the Go. This book is a favorite in our house. It has basically every kind of vehicle you can imagine. There's construction equipment. There is cement trucks, there's fire trucks, there's tractors. So it's a really cool story. My boys love to listen to this one. Olga de Polga is a really cute book. This would be for kids if they're going to read on their own. They can read it on their own. It's about a mischievous little guinea pig, and it is written by Michael Bond, who was the creator of Paddington Bear. So if you had that when you were a kid, this might take you back a little bit. So it's a really cute, sweet story. This one actually isn't my favorite. This is my husband's favorite, The World of Wars. And so it talks about World War I and World War II. It's got a lot of cool illustrations and photographs, tons of information. And my husband loves looking through this. He's a history buff. So if you have some maybe older kids that are studying this in school or just interested in the wars, this is a really great one. The River is a really cool book. It's about a little fish on a journey downriver, and it has the if you move it side to side, the fish swims, and so it's just a neat book. It's got really pretty illustrations, and it's a favorite of mine and my kids. Nibbles. Nibbles is kind of famous. Anybody who's familiar with Usborne books is probably familiar with Nibbles. Nibbles is a story about a little monster who eats through different well-known fairy tales, and he escapes and he eats through the pages, and my kids are totally obsessed with the fact that he actually eats holes through the pages of this book and into the stories, and so it's a really, really fun one to read to the little kids. Lift the Flap Sharks. This is a nonfiction book with a bunch of different facts about sharks, and it is one that is being read at least 3 times a day in our house right now because my son is really into sharks at the moment. So it's a really fun book, lots of information. Dan the Taxi Man is a favorite of mine. It's a cute story about different about band members getting picked up by Dan the Taxi Man and all the instruments they play. And my son really likes this book. He really loves that he has memorized the beep beep taxi man coming, and he loves this book. It's a really fun one to read at night. My very first space book is one of my favorites. When there was a meteor shower, I wanted to show my son, and so we got this book to kind of start talking about the stars and what happens in space, and it's just really informative, and I really love it. Really thick pages, they're cardstock pages, so they're not going to rip easy. You Choose is a really cool book. It's not really a story. It is just kind of opening some conversation up with your kids. And so each page is really in-depth illustrations, and it asks a question. If you could go anywhere, where would you go? And so it gives ideas about the different places you could go. And who would you like for family and friends, and different pictures. What kind of home would you choose? So it's a really fun one. Every time you read it, it can be something different. You can make it what you want. The Tale of Two Beasts is about a little girl who rescues a strange beast in the woods and carries him safely home. But the beast is not happy and escapes. And so this tells them it tells both sides, the little girl's side and the beast's side, and about how there can be two sides to a story and how you can come together in the end. This is one of our new releases. It is The Curious Case of the Missing Mammoth, and it's about a little mammoth and his big brother who's trying to find him, and he gets loose in a museum. And it's really cool because it has a bunch of flaps, so it's super engaging. And so it's got the story, and on top of the story, it has a bunch of little facts throughout it. So it's engaging with the flaps, they're entertained by the story, and you're learning things as you go. It's a really, really cool one. And Can I Join Your Club is also a new one. I really like this. It's really teaches how to be inclusive. And this is about a duck who wants to join a club, but he can't roar like a lion or trumpet like an elephant, so what's he going to do? And it's really, really cute. My kids love it because they love me trying to make the sounds, especially when the duck tries to make an elephant sound. I'm going to spare you. I'm not going to try to make that sound. But when I read it to them, they love it. They laugh and they think it's so funny. So those are just some of my favorites and my family's favorites.